Hey, what it do, guys? Bless up. Another video, really quick. Um, keep everybody lifted up, man. As we go through this journey of life, you have those ups and downs, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Everybody is battling. I was studying the other day, and I noticed how the personality of the Most High, the personality of God, which is not individualistic in nature. And what I mean by that is he creates the night and the day. He creates the man and the woman. He creates the heavens above and then the earth. Like God is he it's not individualistic. It's powerful in that regard. Excuse me if you hear some background noise. So I think the trash people are picking up the trash, but it's powerful when you understand how the nature, the nature of the Father. I think that's why he says be fruitful and to multiply, because why? That's many. And that's why, men and as even women, we need one another. Men need women and women need men, because that's the very order that God created it. And anything outside that order, you're going to be outside of the divine nature of the Father. And you will feel it. You'll feel it inside. It can lead to some other stuff, but you will feel it. And when you think about, like I said, night and day, man and woman, winter and spring, it's always those two different sides. And I think that's so powerful, because that lets you know the nature, it's in the nature of the Father. So let's just do a really quick reading. Probably this video shouldn't be longer than probably 7 minutes, maybe 6 minutes at the most. And let's start at Genesis. Let's start at Genesis 1 and 3. And I love how it says God's Spirit in Genesis 1. When you first open it up, God's Spirit, the Spirit of God hovering over the face of the waters. Anyway, Genesis 1 and 3, and it says, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness, 1 and 1. Light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness night. And there was evening, and there was morning. Evening, morning. You'll see the very nature of the Father when you look at those little small things. And God said, verse 6, let there be an expanse in the midst of waters, and let it separate the waters that were under the expanse of the water, that were above the expanse. And so God called the expanse heaven, and there was evening, and there was morning on the second day. Let's continue to a little bit of verse 9. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. God called the dry land earth. So you had the upper part, and you had the lower part called earth. I'll say it again. God called the dry land earth. And the water that was gathered together called seas. And God saw that it was good. All right, let's continue. Let's go to verse 27, Genesis 1 and 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created them male, female. And God blessed them and said, be fruitful and multiply. Male, female. Be fruitful and multiply. And then, of course, we'll end it with this one. And verse 18, Genesis 2 and 18. Then God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper fit for him. Now out of the ground the Lord had formed every beast of the field, every bird of the heaven, and brought them to the man to see what he would call them. And whatever the man called every living creature, that was his name. Then man gave names to all livestock, and to birds of the heavens, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not a helper found. I think that's a very important part. Not that, but a part a little before that talks about when God blessed the animals and said, "Be fruitful and multiply." When I talk about the personality or the spirit of God, when you talk about night, day, man, woman, earth, not earth, winter, summer, that speaks to the very creative nature. And that's why it's important for men and women to be one, because in it you're operating in the very creation of God. That's why he said it's not good to be alone, and I'll make him a helper, because that's his system. That's the very nature and the system of God. And if you notice the beast of the beast of the fowl and stuff, if you notice, let's say livestock, they're going to, if you pass by, especially if you're like in a country area, cows are going to be amongst cows. Goats are going to be amongst goats. Even if you see birds, I don't know all the species of birds, but I know when you see birds just in your neighborhood or whatever, you're going to see more than one together. Humans in God's creation are rarely individualistic. And that really blessed me, because I was like, wow, God creation, there were individual entity. Even when you think about trees in the forest, rarely will it just be one tree. It's going to be more. Let's continue. And of course, God says it's not good for man to be alone. Then verse Genesis 2:22. And of course, Adam said, This is at last bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She should be called a woman, because she was taken out of a man. So I think this just, I just want to say, as men and as women, it's important for us to be on one accord. Not for our own sake, not just for our own sake, which is important. Physically, it's important for us as men and women to embrace and love. Mentally, it's important. Spiritually, it's important. Naturally, it's important.